So what is your niche, roughly?
Teaching financial literacy to kids.
Okay. So I'm always listening, right? So what is his niche? What's the first word? Who's teaching about? It's about him. You follow? Teaching is about him. It's not about them. Got it?
So what we came up with before here was
Yeah.
financial survival training for kids.
Okay. Financial survival training for kids.
That's how we defined it previously.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And so now I guess we're looking at being really specific with our niche of who we're marketing to.
Yep.
Being homeschooling kids. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So, good. Homeschooling kids. How much of the market did he chop off? A lot, right? So very good.
Yeah.
Homeschooled kids. What else? You got any more? Did you go further?
We came up with some concerns, additional concerns that parents have around this topic, like financial independence, so kids not being at home. So the idea is preparing them for when they leave the nest. So I guess the financial survival training for homeschool kids, about to take off or something like that.
Okay.
That's
excellent.
as far as we got.
So here it's all coming together. He's getting closer. And sometimes it's ugly in the beginning, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Right? It's ugly as you get started and to figure out how to, little tiny babies when they're first born, some people think they're really cute. There's something about them that's a little weird. I don't know. Right? So great progress. Take me through the thought process that you went through to come up with this niche.
Well, we've been working for 2 years on getting financial literacy out there through various different channels, and we've tested a lot of things that haven't worked, and we've gotten finally some great feedback from parents who are homeschooling their kids, so we've decided to go after that niche. So, yeah,
And so how did you, as you did the exercise, what was your thought process?
Okay, so as we did the exercise, we honed in on exactly what the concern was that the parents were having.
Which is?
Which is that the kids will be financial failures and have to live at home with the parents if they're not successful with money.
Good. That's leverage. Okay, the kid will have to live at home. That's the external, tangible, measurable that anyone could verify. The kid's living at home. How old would the kid be living at home where it would be like, there's no question the kid's a financial failure?
25 maybe?
Okay, 25?
Yeah.
Okay. So 25-year-old kids living at home. 25-year-old or older kids living at home. What percentage of 25-year-olds live at home with their parents?
I'm not sure.
It's bigger than it used to be? You still live at home? No. He's like, I moved home yesterday, so guaranteed that it's bigger than it used to be. What does anybody know that one? Anybody have a guess on what percentage of 25-year-olds or older live at home?
The average age for leaving home now is 27.
Okay, so the average age for leaving home is 27? Okay. That's kind of interesting. So maybe more than 50% of 25-year-olds live at home, probably, or are still dependent on their parents. I like things like this because you can ask a question. Does do you have a kid that's 25 years or older that still lives at home because they can't make it on their own? Or if you have a child that's 25 years old or older that lives at home because they can't make it on their own financially, this is the most important letter you'll ever read. Why is that powerful? Because it's unambiguous. You can't screw that up. Okay, if you know what those words mean, you're going to be like, yes, I do. And this must be written for me because you've never heard anything like that
That's
before.
narrowing it down a lot more than I would have ever thought to narrow it down.
Now, you're probably actually trying to teach them before they wind up 25
Right.
and living at home.
Exactly.
Right? Right? So what you might want to say is,
How
you
to-
might speak to that person if you say more than 50%, no, or you might say the average age of, leaving home is 27 years old. That's because most children never learn the basics of money and finance, and they wind up financial failures. And that might speak to the parent now, and they go, oh, 27. Or you could even say to these folks, your child will probably not be able to move out until they're 27 years old.
Wow.
Why? Because you didn't teach them the basics of money. And now all of these, I'm just brainstorming right here with you, but all of these are different ways of pushing the emotional hot button. I'm obviously not an expert on this topic, but I'm dancing with it a little bit. Do you see how financial literacy and homeschooling, they pale? They're like nothing compared to the emotional, the irrational impact of these other appeals that we're talking about. And you feel how much more specific 27 years old is the average age when someone moves out. Or if you have a child that's 25 years old or older that's still living at home, essentially you're a failure as a parent. How much more motivating those are? Good. We're just going to go that far.
Okay, great.
In this particular one, just this example. So
thank
thank you very much. Yeah, good.
My niche is the family manager, which I used to think would be the male, but it's probably the mom, who is concerned about...
Only a man would have thought that.
Right. Until my wife told me, no, your avatar is me, so shut up and listen. And I did. It's the family manager who's concerned about preparing their family for the coming economic crisis. Run on food stores, preparedness, and the URL is preparednesssecrets.com.
Okay. And take us through the exercise. What did you get from it?
What I got from it was, well, my main problem, because I did the exercise from the DVDs pretty thoroughly, but I'm not sure where to find those people that are looking for that, and if there's enough of them, I'm not sure. I think I'm narrowed in there.
Well, you're thinking from your perspective. You're not inside their head right now.
Right.
I'm thinking, is there enough of them? You're out here looking at them from out here. We need to get you in there looking at you from where they're at.
Right. I did have a little bit of a breakthrough, and I realized by doing the exercise that I haven't been able to perceive myself as their customer, but because of the way my conversion story that really happened, I am the customer looking for this solution. And that was kind of a breakthrough I had from doing that exercise.
Okay, good.
So I could probably better realize my niche by just going into my own head where I might not have wanted to go and expressing those fears and concerns.
Okay, did you hear what he said? I said, what's your niche? And you said something like preparedness for the coming economic crisis. Right?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. Is preparedness something that's external, tangible, and measurable that we could verify if there were a bunch of people looking at it would go, oh, that's preparedness right there? No? Is coming economic crisis something that's tangible, external, that a group of people... These are abstractions. They're generalizations. They're conceptual. They're just an idea. Okay? Now, they may be useful to think with, but when it comes to getting customers and choosing niches, they're almost like, they're kind of the opposite of what's going to help your business do really well, because they're so general. Again, they might help you with your thinking a little bit. You're like, you know what? I see the crisis coming, and I know people want to prepare, so I'm going to start kind of there. But then within it, we got to really drill down. Now, we made progress there because you said, what was it, food that they're looking to store up?
Right, run on food shelves, run on warehouses and food stores.
Oh, run on food stores. Do you sell food?
No,
Okay, you don't.
no.
Okay.
What I want to sell is a set of videos to actually show people how to do the things that people are selling complicated books about. Food storage, grab-it-and-go bags, preparedness kits.
Okay, good. So when he said food store, I didn't realize that he meant the run on the food stores. But when I heard that, I said, food. If I had some food right here, who's got some food? Who's got some? Who's got food that they can show to me? All right, here we go. Who else has got some food? Let's see. I'm looking for something specific. Yeah, this is what I want right here. Okay. All right. In this hand, I've got some sun-dried almonds and pistachios. Who would agree that this is food? Yeah, pretty much everyone. In this hand, I've got half of a special dark Hershey bar. Somebody held this up and claimed that this was food. Who in here thinks this is food? Now, who's actually gone way past that and knows that this is a superfood? Okay, right? Because chocolate is the new superfood. Exactly. And what I notice is half of this thing's gone, and it's like 10 in the morning or something. All right. Thank you. But when I held those up and I said, who would agree this is food? Everyone know, like, that's what food, we all know somehow that that's food. I can hold this thing up and say, blah, 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 food, and everyone looks at it and they go, yes, there's food in his hand. And we're on the same page. We're aligned. We're with each other. But what if I try to hold up preparedness?
Ammo?
No, really. Right? If you think there's an economic crisis coming and you think that you want to help people prepare and you think that guns, now I'm not a real super advocate on this front.
I'm from Montana, so that's the reality.
You got like the gun rack in the back of the truck. You can see the guns through the back window, the whole thing. I grew up in Oregon, so I know what you're talking about there.
I'm from Jersey, so I got both perspectives. Totally.
Okay, good. All right. It's valuable to have multiple perspectives in life. But when he said food, that's where I heard niche opportunity. Why? Because people need the basics. They need the basics. If there's a coming crisis and a problem and they don't know it, or maybe they're starting to suspect it, someone's probably going to be more likely to buy food than they are to buy preparedness. You follow? If there's a crisis tomorrow and there's no food on the shelves in the store, and I show up to your door and I say, I'd like to teach you about preparedness for a crisis like this, and then someone else says, I'd like to give you some food, which one are you going to be more likely to buy? Right, it's the food. Now, since he wants to sell information about preparedness, what could he focus his information on? Food. Is food the big one? I don't know, but
It's probably the biggest part of what this would be. It would be a little bit of preparedness kits for each member of the family, food, and then
so time out for a sec.
Sure.
So I said, is this what they want specifically? And did you hear what his answer was? They want preparedness kits for the family. Did we zoom in or zoom out? Is food number one?
Yeah. Well,
Let him answer it.
Yeah.
It's food?
Food and water would probably be the biggest part of the mix.
Okay, food and water. Now, what question am I going to ask him right now with narrowing my niche thinking? What question am I going to ask him? What kind of food? Do you hear me? I'm going to ask him what kind of food, and I'm going to try to get rid of 80%. What kind of food? Key question here, what kind of food do they think they need?
Staples.
Staples? Like in a stapler? Okay, so I asked him what kind of food, and what did he answer? Right? Staples. So try to answer really specific. What is the number one kind of food that they think they need if there's a meltdown?
Kind of food?
What one food? What do they think they need?
If you say wheat, maybe with a chocolate bar stuck in the barrel of wheat somewhere, that's the problem.
What,
when people think
what's
of
the problem?
surviving and they think of this bulk wheat and beans and stuff, do they want to eat that? Do they want to live on that stuff?
It doesn't matter. You're now arguing with what they
Okay.
think. Don't argue with them.
Okay.
Don't argue with your customers yet. Wait till they buy, and then you can argue with them.
I'd say things like wheat and things that can be stored. Is that still too broad?
Well, okay, so wheat is good. What else?
You know, wheat, beans, corn, fruits, things
Okay,
that can
excellent.
sustain.
Excellent. So let's just say, for the sake of this conversation, that the number one thing, if you ask 100 people who are concerned about meltdown, storing food, whatever, they're already thinking about it, they're out searching for solutions. You ask them, what is the number one type of food that you plan on storing? Before they're educated, just see what's on top of their mind. What do you think they're going to answer? I don't know. Let's say that it's wheat. Let's say that their answer is wheat. Okay, just for the sake of this one? Can we all go with wheat? Sound pretty good? No?
I'll be conducting
The girl with the chocolate bar, she's like, wheat? Total opposite end of the spectrum here. What country are you from? Okay. What question am I going to ask next? What am I ask him next? Right? I might ask, what type of wheat? In what form? Do you see how I'm thinking here? This is called drilling down. I'm drilling down into the situation. I'm drilling into the problem. I'm not zooming out. I'm trying to find a hot button. Once I found out, did I say that it was time for questions? Do I have to come down there? Don't make me come down there. So hang on a sec. Who's already arguing in their mind with this whole line of thinking? Okay, good, good. Just stay with me for a second. What I'm going to suggest to you is that if your customer, and wheat is just the analogy here, if your customer thinks that wheat's the solution to the problem, and they show up to your website and you say, preparedness, staples, family, you don't have this direct connect with them instantaneously. Whereas, if they, on average, think that wheat is the answer, and their biggest question is, what form of wheat should I have and how should I store it so it lasts for a long period of time? And they land on your site, and the first thing they see is, if there's a financial collapse, you need wheat, and the way that most people buy and store wheat doesn't work because the wheat goes bad. Which one is going to connect with them more? You see what I'm saying? See where I'm going with this? It isn't about reality when you're marketing. When you're an expert, it's all about reality. If you're an expert, it's all about logic and what's right and what matters and what's good and honest and all that stuff. When you're a marketer, it's all about what they think. It's all about where they're coming from. I don't know if you noticed this, but reality doesn't matter to human beings. You following me? Reality doesn't matter to human beings. They don't care about it. I say things like this a lot to people I'm talking to. I go, hey, you know, there's a little thing called reality. Homer McDonald, who's probably the most knowledgeable marriage counselor maybe in the world, brilliant human being. He wrote the book Stop Your Divorce. He says, reality is the big boss. Reality is the big boss. But most people never got the news. They don't know that reality is the big boss. They think that their little world is the big boss. We humans don't operate on reality. We operate on our model of reality, the map we have in our head. And whenever someone is emotional and they're looking for a solution to a problem or to fulfill their desire, logic is the furthest thing from their mind. Their irrational drives, the animal, the chimpanzee inside of them, their unconscious, all that stuff has taken control of the rational logical mind, and it's using the rational logical mind to get its animal needs met. You following me? Now we, as we transition from becoming dumb experts to smart marketers, we realize that there are other human beings in the world and that they've got their own perspective. We have to face many moral and ethical dilemmas as we market. We have to find that exact line where, how much do I get into their world and how much do I draw them into mine? And these are professional conversations. These are tough challenges. But if you want to live in a world, in your own world, where people don't respond to you very well, you say things and people kind of don't listen to them, they don't get them very well, they don't buy what you're selling, you don't have lots of influence, go on hammering on logic and reality. Okay, stay with that. And it'll work to get you very mediocre, very average results. But if you want great results in life, if you want people to listen to you talk and say, wow, you get it, you know what you're talking about, you got to get outside of yourself. You got to learn to think like a marketer. You got to learn to think like another human being. So let's go back to the wheat conversation. When I heard him say food, I said food. External, tangible, measurable, emotional if they're in that situation. What kind of food? I don't care. This case it was wheat. Wheat. What kind of wheat? What form of wheat? How do you store the wheat? How does the wheat work? Now at some point, we're going to get to what you might call the ridiculous. We're going to get too narrow. We might get down to, what species of wheat? Do you want to have it in the Ziploc plastic or the one with the lid on it? Or should you have a mason jar? And if you have a headline when it comes like, when you're storing your genus Ferenzi wheat for the coming financial collapse in 2017 on January 26th, are you going to use the Ziploc plastic jar or the Ziploc bag? You're going to have lost them. So part of the art of narrowing your niche is making things as simple as possible, but no simpler. Einstein, everything should be made as simple as possible, but no simpler. And what I do is I keep going, keep drilling, don't stop. What most people do is they drill down one level and they go, food, right. Right, of course people are more concerned with food. So they give up the whole preparedness thing and they go preparing with food and they think they've had the big insight. They don't ask which food. And then you might find wheat and then realize that that's going to work even 10 times better. Keep going until you run up against the ridiculous. Once you get to the ridiculous, then you can zoom back out a level and kind of stop there. So, let me just say this before we go deeper. This is an art, the art of narrowing your niche and of thinking based on needs. This isn't something you learn once and then it's over. This is a lifetime pursuit. This is a lifetime pursuit. This is something that you keep learning how to do better and better and better over life. The better you get, the better marketer you become, the better business person you become, the better friend you become, the better you are in relationship. Okay, so I'm not just trying to teach you one little thing here. This is something we're going to keep coming back to. So just give me your feedback based on what I just said.
I felt like we did drill down quite far.
Yep.
And that's one of the things, but it's not just food storage because there's lots of books available on particular subjects. It's,
Yep.
How a busy suburban mom can prepare her family to eat for a year on a budget in 7 days or something like that.
Okay, good, excellent. I feel like I said, what's your response after what I just said? And what you said was, well, what I was thinking before you said that was this.
Okay.
And
Can you
what
rephrase it?
also I heard you say, and keep your thick skin on when you're working with me, but what I also heard you say was, was kind of like, well, Eben, yeah, all that's nice, but you don't get it. There are so many different situations that we have to talk to.
I guess
Who's your
I'm already
target?
try-
Who's your audience? Who do you think it is?
my audience is probably a 30-something suburban mom,
Great.
couple of kids, husband maybe.
Okay. And tell me more about her.
She's
Tell me about her need.
her need is to the feeling of security in having prepared to withstand some economic trouble. And
Say that again. Say that last sentence again.
her need is to feel secure that she's done everything she can to plan for her family so that
Okay.
the
Turn
run
that
on
from an
food.
internal conceptual feeling plan to outside stuff.
to sleep better, to not worry, or
But
is that
what's it all about? What's the situation?
she's worried about her kids ending up on a soup line or a bread line?
Okay, now we're talking. You follow? That's external. Kid end up on soup line. And what could she do to prevent that? What does she think she needs to do?
She's probably overwhelmed by it, what she needs to do, because there's just a lot of unknowns to her.
Stop with all the overwhelm and the unknowns and all that stuff. Throw that all out. Forget all that. What does she think she needs to do to keep the kids from being on the soup line right now?
Have enough to feed them and take care of them. Have enough food and supplies.
Good. We finally got to something. Have enough food to feed the children. You got me? The first thing that he's like really said that is, I know what that means. Food, feed children. How much food? For how long? Can you be more specific? What does she think she needs?
My goal is a year. However we get there incrementally, my goal is to have enough
Whose
for
goal?
a year.
Oh, so you're talking as her.
Her goal is to be able, to
When you say
withstand.
my goal, who were you talking about?
Well, as a parent, the parent's goal is to be able to
So you're
feed their
speaking
kids
as
for a
her.
year. In that sense, in that instance, yes.
Okay, so 1 year's worth of food for the kids.
Yes. And other stuff.
Oh, I know you want other stuff.
No, like
I know you want to put more things in there. I know. I know.
Soap.
What?
Soap and
Oh, I know you want to get other stuff in there. I know. I know.
Okay, sorry.
Damn, you know what? Come here. Just. No. Come here, man. I know you don't want to be in this little bucket called food. None of us do. You don't want to marginalize all the other categories of needs out there. God forbid. Right? Okay, are there any mothers in here who are concerned about, hey, we might have a collapse at some point. You'd like to have a year's worth of food around for your kids just in case? Raise your hand, mothers. Okay, good. How about fathers? Who are fathers that are concerned about that stuff? Yeah? Well, that's interesting. Did you see the difference between mothers and fathers in this room? We got about 400 people here. Raise your hand if you're a mother concerned about the collapse. You'd like to have a year's worth of food. Raise your hand. See how many there are? How many would you guess? Just raise their hands. I'm doing free market research for you here.
Well, there are a lot more men. I couldn't really tell the difference from here.
What?
I couldn't really tell the difference from here. There
Okay,
are a lot
women,
more men
raise your
in the
hands
room.
again. Okay, just what do you think that is? How many people you think, how many hands are up right now?
10.
Maybe 4 or 5? Okay, good. How many men are concerned about feeding your kids, would like to have a year's worth of food in case of a collapse? Raise your hand. How many is that? Maybe 20? Interesting, huh? I don't know if that's changing your perspective at all.
No, almost everyone I've talked to, even the men, say the mom is the planner and is going to be concerned about this and to. Buys the groceries,
Okay,
provisions.
I gotcha.
Okay.
The mom might buy the food, I don't know, but I just think that the emotional need is in the men. I mean, if we just look at the audience. I don't know.
Sure.
You know,
No,
you got to
I'm
test.
open. I'm
but
open.
open your mind. You know, if 5 times as many men raise their hands, Again, when people come up to me and say, I did a survey, I did a test, I put up a landing page, I ran some pay-per-click ads, and here's what the data told me, I start listening immediately to that. When I help other people or coach them in their businesses, usually what they're saying, for the most part, is kind of, blah, blah, blah this and blah, blah, blah that, and they think they're talking about things that are important. They're really not. They're just kind of talking about whatever's coming up on their minds. And then every once in a while they say, the other day I was talking to a couple of our customers, and as soon as I hear that, I stop everything and I go, yes? Because I want to know what the damn customers are saying. Okay. So
I'll be conducting a survey at the break with my legal pad to find out what people are concerned about.
Okay, but let's go this way, because I was actually going a different direction. The man thing was just a tangent that I got off on. Of the women who are concerned with food, I just want to show you this. Soap is the other thing that he kind of fought me on until he got it out. Right? It was like, well, there's other kind of, they're also concerned about soap. He knew because before I squat, I will get the duct tape if you keep this up, by the way. So of the women who are concerned about collapse, needing food for a year for your family, who were you again? Raise your hands. Okay, good. If we take food in this hand, and then we got soap over here, all right? Who would say that soap is anywhere near the emotional, irrational need of food when thinking about the kids for the year? None. Okay, what's the point I'm trying to make right now? Our minds, and you're doing this for all of us, our minds want to throw a bunch of irrelevant stuff into the conversation. Because it's like we have to. I can't not screw this up for myself. We got to get the soap in there. But the reality is, food, when you don't have food, how do you behave? Right? You go right down the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and you literally turn into an animal. And people do turn into animals in a very literal sense when they don't have food. When you don't have soap, what happens?
How about edible soap?
New organic wheat edible soap. Lasts 1 year. Feeds children in case of crisis. I don't know. I could see that Vince guy, the slap chop. Hey, it's Vince with the new wheat organic edible soap. You're going to love this. This is going to make your day. I got to get back on track here. I'm veering off into the Milky Way. So why am I doing this? We got to see it. Okay, we got to see it. We have to see this in ourselves. We have to have an experience ourselves of doing this, because if you don't get it in yourself, your customers are never going to hear you. They're not going to hear you, because you're going to get on your internet site and you're going to make a website or a video about stuff that you might need in case of collapse, and you're going to be talking about soap, and they're only concerned about food. You're going to miss them. Another thing here too, because I love psychology and I love to talk to it. Have you ever heard of projection? Anybody know what projection means? It means all of the negative things about ourselves, all the negative qualities that we won't look at in ourselves, we see in other people. And that whenever we see a negative quality in another human being, the only reason we can see it is because it's a negative quality that we have. And on the flip side, all the positive things about us that we don't acknowledge, we project them onto other people and we say, oh, wow, look at that great person out there. You follow? And now, I want to know why I said that to you. The reason why is because what we all are doing here is we're looking at him. What's your name again?
Christian.
We're looking at Christian. I don't think we heard it the first time.
Sorry, no, I didn't introduce myself.
So it's not again. But I can't go back and ask the first time. So we're all looking at Christian and saying, wow, Christian doesn't get it. He can't see that this is about food and wheat and not about soap and staples. So now I'm letting you know that it's not about him. This is about you, because you're doing this. And the other magical thing that we do as humans is we doubly project. So now that you know that you were looking at him and you weren't really thinking about yourself, what your mind is doing is saying, yeah, that's right. When other people in my life find out about the things that they're not aware of, they still don't do anything about it. You follow me? What we're all doing is going, yeah, those other people, they really don't get that this is about them. It's not about them, it's about you. Good. So, let's get back to food. Have I won you over at all on this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit?
A little bit.
He's like, I surrender. Yes, okay, fine, whatever you say. So food, emotional driver. I'd test men and women. And just for the last part of the exercise, let's ask the question, what would be important about food if you were a man, and what would be important about food if you were a woman? What would the difference be?
Are you asking?
We got sound effects in here. This is today is going to be interesting. You just know it is.
Well, my wife brought up something that was interesting, and she might not have gone here, but we really dug into this, and she said comfort food. That's going to be a scary situation, and she's like, I'm going to want my little goodies and my wheat. And I wouldn't have thought of that. To me, it would have just been like, what do you need to have a balanced, nutritional, whatever. But my wife said she's going to want to grab, a couple of Oreos when it hits the fan to feel comfortable about feeding her kids wheat.
Good. Good. So let's say, for the sake of this conversation, that men want wheat and women want Oreos. Let's just say that, and let's try to avoid the stereotypes or any of that. Stay out of the traps that could be associated there. Remember he said a year's worth of food? Well, when a woman comes to the website, if the headline says, most women don't know that Oreo cookies last up to 5 years in storage. Are you following me? And if the man comes there, he might be more like utilitarian. If you store your wheat the wrong way, it will go bad in 3 months. If you store it the right way, it'll last up to 2 years. You understand the different appeals here? This is niche thinking. And when I say most women don't realize that Oreo cookies, when stored properly, will last up to 5 years, will stay fresh up to 5 years, am I talking to the logic or the rational part of the human being? What am I talking to? I'm talking to the chimpanzee that we all have inside of us. That's what I'm talking to. Experts would say, you're a responsible mother. You want to take care of your family in case of financial collapse. You want to have all the staples so that you can go to sleep with a clear mind. That's what experts say. And they're right. And they spent 8 years getting a PhD and 10 more years out in the real world teaching and whatever else to get to the point where they can authoritatively say that. But the marketer says most women don't realize that Oreo cookies will stay fresh up to 5 years if stored correctly. Good. Give me a high five.